I remember back when I was your age, I used to be one of them old prospectors. You see, one of them days when I was with my old friend, we was out prospecting looking for some gold. But in the place where we was prospecting, there was this sheriff. So we had to wear bandanas around our faces so no one would know who we was. So we found ourselves this little river and settled ourselves down so we could start prospecting. Too bad for us, we forgot our prospecting basins, so we had to use our own bare hands. It was an awfully hot day, but I still remember how cold that water was. Anyway, I was sitting there prospecting when I saw my friend upstream, and he was just poking out rocks and throwing them in another place in the stream. I couldn't understand what the heck he was doing, but it sure seemed like a waste of time to me. Luckily, I was smarter than he was. He was mighty ugly too, but at least I knew what I was doing. Being a good friend that I was, I went over there and I started helping him plucking up rocks in his part of the stream. Anyway, it was at that time that he turned to me and says, "What is that you got in your hand?" So I picked it up and I said, "This is one of those rocks you was looking at." And he says, "Nuh-uh, that's what my rock looks like." And that's when he told me, "Why don't you just get rid of that rock?" So I took that rock and I throwed it away. Anyways, we got back to our prospecting and we kept shifting our rocks, hoping that someday we might find some gold. Of course, I have them measures in my bag, so I had to get up for just a little bit and then I could come back and start sifting for some gold again, whilst my friend just looked for rocks. Then at one of those moments when I was reaching in the stream, I felt that something bit me. I looked at my hand and I says, "I think a gator bit me." He says, "But you still got your hand." I says, "Well, he must be one of them small gators." So I picked up a stick and I started hitting that gator. But I sure did beat that gator, and he never came back and beat my hand again. I picked up this other rock and I says, "Ain't no gold in that rock." So I throw that rock away too. So then my friend picks up this rock and he says, "Nuh-uh, ain't no gold in that rock neither." It sure was driving me crazy that we couldn't find no gold. But then my friend picked up this rock and says, "I think I found some gold." He started scraping off and I says, "That ain't no gold." So faster than a mad hornet, he throws it back in the stream. Then he comes up with this new idea about how we can dig with sticks. So he takes a stick and I take a stick. We start digging in the stream with them sticks. He was hoping that maybe he might somehow turn up some of them gold. I was trying it too, but that was just to make him happy. So then I picked up this other rock and I says, "This feels like it got gold in it." Well, he just laughed at me. And he says, "These rocks over here look better than yours. Why don't you just throw that rock away too?" I was getting a mite frustrated because no matter what I did, he said that my rocks didn't look as good as his. But I knew deep down inside that his rocks are just rocks. And we came here for gold, not rocks. So I was just hoping that maybe after some time, I might just get lucky and find a bunch of gold. Then I could prove to him what gold looked like and that his rocks were just rocks. So we just kept ourselves on a prospecting, just hoping and maybe just hoping too, that we might find some gold and not just some of his rocks. Boy, I tell you, the more that day went on by, the more angry and more frustrated I became with my friend. I'd pick up rocks and he says, "There ain't no rock, just get rid of it." And I'd see him pick up a rock and I'd know that ain't no gold, so why don't you throw that rock away? He got angry when I said that, so we got up and we said, "What you think you're doing?" And I said, "What you doing?" So I took it on and I punched him in the face and he says, "Oh man, that kind of hurt." And we started getting in a fight with each other and he says, "Please don't hit me again." And I says, "No way, this is gold in them hills and we not finding no gold." So he reaches out his hand and he says, "Will you please forgive me?" And I says, "No, I ain't gonna forgive you." And he says, "Please man, you need to forgive me, I need to find some gold." And I says, "No," and I punched him right in the gut again. He says, "Oh please, no more, I can't take no more." So that two-faced double-crosser reached out his hand and shook my hand and then he punched me right in the gut. And I didn't know, but he had a knife in his hand. And I says, "No knives, I can't take knives." And I bent over and I started feeding because I lost the blood. And at that moment, I suddenly died. My friend didn't think nothing of it and he just kept looking for gold. And he started punching me in the face for no reason either. And he said, "Oh well." Now, he needed to get rid of my body so that sheriff couldn't find it. So he dug me this grave. And he started putting dirt and sticks in that grave so no one could find me. What's worse than that, though, is if we did find any gold, he'd keep it all for himself. I mean, after all, you can't take it with you, and a dead man doesn't need gold for anything. So he just kept piling on them sticks, and he piled more sticks, and then he kicked my grave out of spite. Then he took off his hat for a moment of silence. Then he started laughing hysterically, because that means he gets to keep all that gold. But too bad for him, we didn't find no gold, we just found some rocks. So then he turned around, waved goodbye, and headed off on his way with all his fancy rocks. Of course, he never did come back and visit me again, but in case any of you are wondering what happened to me, well, that's what happened. My friend stabbed me and I got over a bunch of rocks and I didn't get no gold. Anyway, if you ever do get a chance to come up to these hills, I sure hope you do stop by and visit me in my little grave. And always remember, don't go looking for gold, you might only get rocks.